What's up, everybody out there in quarantine land? This is your host of the One Stone Dude podcast, Ryan Castle, and I'm talking to you about the Anchor app today. That's what this podcast has come to you from. There are so many advantages to this app, it's hard to explain, but if you haven't heard about the Anchor app, it's the easiest way to make a podcast, so let me explain real quick. It's free. Then you have your creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So, go to the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And keep your First Amendment rights going.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the One Stone Dude podcast. I am your host, Ryan Castle. Today on the show, we're going to have R3, who is a professional wrestler from Arizona and is making his way around. Unfortunately, nobody's working right now, so we're going to get to know him a little bit better and keep him relevant. And as I try to do with all the Arizona professional wrestlers here, just so fans can get a good insight on what they're like and why they cheer for him. So check this out. It should be a great interview. I'm going to try to get him stoned a lot before the interview to see how he handles it. From what I understand, he only smokes a little bit, but hey, you're with the One Stoned host. So let's try. I'm going to try to have him in the barbecue pit and put him in the studio right afterwards. Thanks for joining in and enjoy the podcast.
Welcome, everyone out there in 420 land. This is your host of the One Stone Dude podcast, Ryan Castle. Today on the show, we have an interview with R3, professional wrestler out of Arizona and part of the United Wrestling Network. Huh?
That is me.
Right on, man. Right on. We're going to dip right into this. We're going to go right to wrestling. All right, what made you become a wrestler?
Fuck. All right, on a personal standpoint, it was... And a lot of this is going to sound like stereotypical, but it was the escape. Home life wasn't like the greatest growing up, but I had an uncle who used to have, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble, but the black box up in California, so it means you got all the pay-per-views for free. So he would do the pay-per-views and record them on a VHS. So whenever he'd get a couple of shows, he'd just give them to me, and like that would be my escape. My like only set of toys was action figures,
right?
Like those big fucking plastic ones. So yeah, that was like my time to forget everything. Then as you get older, you go through the stages. So after that became like the real life superhero. Like, wow, I can be essentially whatever I want there and take aggression out growing up and doing all that. Right. And then it evolved after that because it was like the production is so good. Like it just sucks you in, the lights, the music, just anything that's production wise. Like anytime I've been back there, as like I focus on like the stations, like interview stations or whatever. I'm like, this is insane how many people can do all this and pull off like such a great show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So my whole life is like different stages. It's always related to me, you know, safe place.
All right. Who were you trained by?
Lawrence Tyler.
LT.
LT's
been training everybody.
Yeah.
You were in Pete Heat's class, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then, I mean, we had, like, people stop by. We had Deuce Snuka do a couple of nights with us. Navajo Warrior was a big part of that. And he's helped mentor me even, like, now in the locker rooms with, like, the Championship Wrestling from Arizona shows.
Nice.
So, a lot of knowledge from a lot of people, thankfully. But, yeah, Lawrence was the one that put me through the grinder.
It's awesome when people take their time and effort out to put into you. You know,
yeah.
Especially when it comes to the business. When somebody just takes you and says, okay, I'm going to show you how to do this correctly, kid.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest thing right there, man.
I remember one of the a compliment that made me feel good is Hawaiian Lion was going to some of the trainings, And I remember the first time he like saw me run drills and do all that, pulled me aside. He's like, "Have you done this?" I'm like, no, not since it's training, which is a lie, but it was like backyard related, which you have something to do with.
I have something.
You have something to do with.
Oh boy, tell the story.
All
You're
right.
done telling this one.
So, I rolled out, and after I did some of that stuff, Lion pulls me aside and says, "Hey, he's like, you should be doing. If it were up to me, you'd be doing these shows now. That's how good you look in there." And I was like, "Oh my fucking god!"
Nice.
He also yelled at me. He also him, Lawrence, and like, I forgot who else was there. Like, shred me to pieces over being vocal in the ring. And that completely, like, altered what I would do from then on.
Really?
And it was one of those, like, on the spot, fucking got yelled at. Because out of the entire line, I was last. And everybody was fucking up. So when I got the lashing, and being the biggest guy, got it like a verbal lashing. And I was like, what the fuck?
Wait, for being vocal?
Not being vocal.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, that's
yeah,
hard,
and they're like,
man.
"You're this big motherfucker, if you can't fucking yell or make any noise or you're not intense, you don't want this, get the fuck out." Dude, but it was one of the best things that happened to me.
I seen you Irish whip a dude into the corner and then come with fucking big avalanche. And when you do it, your fucking whole mouth wide. They had like a slow motion shot on Championship Wrestling Arizona. You just see like, boom. And dude quashed him. I was like, that was awesome. Oh, man.
And that was a lot thanks to that night.
Right on, dude. Right on. All right, go ahead and tell another story. Now I got to hear it.
Oh, the Castellucci story. All right, so in reality, I always count when I started training or did anything when I started with like Lawrence. That's what I say. I don't say anything else before then. But there was a point where we had a 16 by 16 foot ring, an actual ring in the backyard, and we would do stuff like that. Then we unfortunately met this guy named Nick something from like RDPW, and they were starting DIW. So him and the person with the ring got together and was like, well, if we do these shows, we'll invite you kids here, which is a bunch of backyard assholes. Uh-oh. So it was just a clusterfuck from the beginning. Okay. DIW happened in that time, and I got to a point where I was like I told myself, if this, what I'm experiencing now is wrestling, I'm like, I don't want to be a part of wrestling. And I actually stopped for a while. Wow. And then we ended up putting the ring in someone's backyard who had like a big enough yard, and there was someone who was trained there, so we would do like a small drill. So that's when I kind of like learned how to run the ropes and take a bump. Okay. But in that time, in that swap meet, DIW, you came once because you were talking to Dexter Verity. Yeah. And I think me and Alex Salyers, I think, were there, and you're like, hey, run a match or see what you got. You're the reason why in the beginning I hated big guy stuff. Why? Big guy stuff. It was why? Well, it's not all your fault, but like when you're,
what the fuck that have to do with it?
Oh, you'll see. But in the backyard, you want to do. I mean, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're doing moves, you're doing whatever. So you kind of get what people do that you like, and you do it. So when we did that match, when you're like run something through, I was doing like ankle lock shit and like the fucking Hitman forearm. Mm-hmm. And throughout the entire match, you're a big guy, work a big guy, do a big splash. And so I would do that. And then when we went to the submission, the ankle lock, I put it on. He's like, you should do something more with your weight. Do a bear hug. And when you said that, I was like, fuck you. And I did it, and I think it was my own like insecurity from being the big guy. And I told Alex on the way home, I was like, I'm never doing a fucking big splash. I'm not doing a bear hug. I'm not doing the stereotypical big guy shit. I don't want to be a stereotypical big guy. And I was like, fuck him for making me do that. But I never did it. No? I never did the ankle lock stuff when we started training. Like I hated that you said it, but it stuck a little bit in my head. And then Lawrence kind of reset it because I did do the forearm once. Right. He's like, all that weight and you're dropping a fucking forearm. So then I started, as time went on, I started clicking. But yeah, you're the reason why initially going in, I was like, I don't want to be a fucking big guy. Like I thought. Oh man, I didn't want to be a short guy. Right. Shit. Shit happens, bro. I was like, this fucking Castellucci guy. But you know what? All those events is probably the reason why, like to me, it's crazy to think sometimes when you take an event or something that happened and you like dissect it. Like if one little different thing would have happened, this wouldn't have happened. Right. So like with wrestling, that's what I think. I'm like, oh, it was a backyard crap, and then dealing with the DIW stuff. But then like all those events, like you came, talked to Dex. I was close with Dex. You know what I mean? So then I started going to the shows, and I started doing flyers, and then I met people, and they're like, and then through the flyer making, I started recording, and then from recording, the idea or the conversation came up with training, and that's how I started training.
Right.
So in my head, I'm like, well, if this guy wouldn't have taken fucking Dex somewhere, I wouldn't have gone over there, and I would have probably never realized what fucking EXW is. So it's like all these little events are crazy.
It comes around, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
It's crazy, man.
All right, man. I'm going to keep going with it. How long have you been working till?
7 years. Nice. First match was April 13th, 2013.
2013?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Right on. I think I was in Jersey at the time when you started then. What companies have you worked for?
Well, we had when we trained was the first, I think, championship wrestling from Arizona, the one that like nobody talks about because it was a specific show. Because it went from EXW to like FSW Arizona to championship wrestling from Arizona, and it wasn't it wasn't recorded for television. It was just like a show. Okay. So the only footage was from like my camera, like some weird angles.
Really?
Yeah. So it was like JV was doing ring announcing, and I think his people were recording the shows. Okay. And one night he saw me with my camera. He's like, "Hey, do you mind recording the show?" Recorded the show, and then I became their camera guy after that.
Hey, Garfanola, we just put you over, motherfucker.
And that's actually how I debuted. Was the whole we used me using the camera as an angle because it was you're too big for people not to notice that you're the camera guy.
Right.
So that's how we transitioned into that. Okay. But yeah, that's we don't really. That's not acknowledged pretty much as that brand. Championship Wrestling from Arizona now, which is way different and way better. Love working there. I mean, all of them, Hollywood. And that one, it's like just great places to work, and the environment is really professional and fun. Nice. Then before this whole thing started, we debuted at Ground Zero in San Diego, which is a really hot spot there. Right. Then there's like a small city in California, Imperial. There's like a spot that I've started doing there. XCW in Texas, New Mexico. They like flip flop, yeah. So hopefully that gets back.
It's really sad to see like nobody fucking no wrestling going on. What you see on TV. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't understand why the dudes do it in the big leagues, but it's frowned upon when it comes to the independents. What the fuck, man?
You know, and that's a tough one. I think some people may be worried that like if we're the first ones, are we going to catch heat for like doing the show? Like when's the right time, or let's wait for somebody else to do it so we can just kind of jump on the bandwagon.
Or they can be the fucking trailblazers and fucking do that shit. You know what I mean? I would like to be known as the fucking spearhead for independent wrestling when we were like the first company on the West Coast to fucking start back up. Fuck yeah, man. I'd be all for it.
I know people have done like drive-through shows.
Drive-through shows? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Drive-in shows, you mean?
Yeah.
Movie driving shows? That would be pretty
Not
awesome.
Drive-through shows.
That was great if they had something like that here. The only driving they got is like over on Indian Reservation.
It's just so fucking imagine. It's fucking...
Yeah.
Dude.
All right, man. Have you worked outside the U.S.?
I've had the chance to go to Mexico twice already. And one of them I kind of backed out because I had this weird paranoia that when I try to cross back, they're going to keep me there. So honestly, that was one of the legit because I was scared. I'm like, they're going to fucking stop me. What if I never come back?
Trump.
And so that was once, and the other one was just miscommunication. But so no, but hopefully soon we get to do some Mexico.
Okay, good luck to you, man. Tell me about your favorite match that you've been in.
All of them, because I'm that good. Just kidding.
Wow. Wow, I thought you were going to be serious for a minute. I'm like, motherfucker.
I'll say certain things to try and get people to message me shit. Okay. But, we actually had a tag team match at Championship Wrestling from Arizona against Reno Scum. Wow. And that was probably one of our favorite ones just because like there was a cool story from like our end to where we like earned a shot at the tag titles and they came in to defend them.
Who's we?
Evan Daniels and I.
Okay.
Agents of Chaos.
Okay.
So we did that and that match was good and it was like one of the first times we had like the entire fucking arena like feel like there was a huge crowd because it was like a big show. So just like seeing it back and seeing the crowd into it and the match was fucking great. And then on top of that, like you had the production value and then commentary on top. So when you watch it back, you're like fucking like I'm watching a show and it's not just like a fucking, you know, I recorded the show, there's no fucking audio. Like it just adds to it to have commentary from fucking people that do a really good job at it. Huh. So that's definitely one. And then same thing, Hollywood. End of December had a match against EJ Sparks. And that was fun.
I've seen him work before. He's pretty fucking awesome. He's on what do you call him right now? What's the name of the company that used to be TNA?
What's the company I'm thinking about?
Impact?
Impact, yeah. Isn't he Impact?